Hello, welcome back everybody to Darren After the Credits episode 38. Joined again, Darth Bunyan's here. How's it going, Darth?
Hi, it's going good. How you doing?
I am doing good. It's a very big week because it's finale week. Finale for all the big shows we've been talking about over the course of last couple weeks. It's crazy actually how it lined up. Like they just all happened to start around the same time and also end at the same time, and they all gave us some pretty interesting episodes to talk about. There's actually a lot to talk about, I think, with all of these shows. So I am so excited to dive in and start chatting. Liam in the house, how's it going, Liam? Hope you're having a great day, a great month, or new year.
Yeah. Always hope the best for Liam. He's awesome.
Absolutely. But yeah, like I don't know, how's like summer TV been for you? Obviously, we've talked a lot about some really great shows. Obviously, here we have The Boys, The Acolyte, Superman. We also had Doctor Who a couple weeks ago.
Not recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other summer shows, but yeah, X-Men kind of ended beginning of the summer. I mean, how's it all kind of been?
I've been loving it. Especially Doctor Who. Doctor Who was amazing. The Acolyte was very much, and as you know, was one of my highest anticipated shows of the whole slate coming out, and did not disappoint. My Adventures with Superman. I was iffy on that show when it came out. But it was your recommendation, so I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And it's just been doing nothing but bits, and it's been really, really good, and I've been loving it. I have got like a little nitpick about that, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
Which I'm very excited about. How have you been loving summer and the TV?
I think it's been a really fun one for sure. I think like I went through and started to rank the shows thus far, like all three of these shows that ended. So I was like, all right, got to put them inside the giant tier list of so. And it's been really cool to me seeing how many of my favorite shows this year have been animated shows, just animated shows. Like in my top 5 or 6 or so, it's like X-Men 97, My Adventures with Superman, Invincible, Has Been Hotel. Like some of my favorite shows this year have been animated.
So. Has Been Hotel has shot up to my favorite, like one of my favorites ever. Whole universe, hell of a boss. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it has to be said. Hell of a boss. If you're not watching it, go and watch it. It is free on YouTube. It hasn't got the Has Been Hotel treatment of being like syndicated or whatever for a show yet, so it hasn't been picked up yet. So it's just there's like 2 seasons that are out, and they're just as good to take place in the same universe, a different ring of hell, but it's given the same amount of love and care and humor, and the characters are insane. If I promise you, anybody that loves Has Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss is for you. Okay, so
it's on my list. I've been itching to get that one started because I loved Has Been so much. Like I'm still like those songs are still on my like rotation that I just keep putting on. I just
absolutely, yeah. Honestly, I promise you are going to love a guy called Stolas. Okay, he's a prince of hell, and he's an owl. And funnily enough. He's actually a deity of hell that people pray to in real life. And if you watch Late Night with the Devil, okay, which is again a must for everybody, go watch that movie. It's David Dastmalchian, and a varied cast. They smash it, but he's also mentioned in that. Little bit of a deep cut there.
Yeah, no, it's I'm wanting to get to that sometime this year because I think season 3 is upon us, from what I've heard. I think it's somewhere along the horizons or something like that. So that's all very, very exciting. But yeah, I think we're gonna be jumping into today's episode again. We're talking spoilers for all of these shows. So if you have not seen The Boys, The Acolyte, and My Adventures with Superman, get out of here because we are talking spoilers. And I think we're just going to make our way from the bottom all the way to the top, starting with My Adventures with Superman. I think this, I feel like I kind of had a little itty bitty of a rocky start with this season, because I feel like I still loved it. I still really liked it, but I was like, starting out, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm loving this as much as the first season. And then just, I think, episodes 5 through 10. Like I think that first half is still on par with the first season. I think it's still really solid. 5 through 10, I think, kind of blow the first season out of the water for me. I think this back half has been really, really strong, in my opinion. I've really loved it.
Okay. I do have to admit, like, now that we're getting, like, the consequences of everything and like all of the roads and relationships crossing over, I can't help but agree with you and feel that, like, season 1 was a lot of setup, a lot of showing how and why people are different in this universe. I'm fine with that. Because, as you just said, the payoff has been worth it. Absolutely worth it, especially with the work that we were getting with Brainiac.
I agree. I don't know if I want to completely jump into the main twist, but I almost kind of want to. Like, there's a twist in this episode that I feel like is going to get on Twitter, and people are going to be talking about it and be like, is this an okay thing to do? But there's a huge retcon to the comics, or what you would know from every other superhero mythos, that changes things, I think, in a pretty interesting way, that I personally, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, I personally love this change. I'm a huge fan when you could twist something on its head and do something different with an IP. And I think this is a change to me that makes sense. I think it works into this lore, and that it was Brainiac being the one to destroy Krypton. It was his doing this whole time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
What?
Okay. I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, because this is like my little gripe that I have.
Okay.
So the thing that got me, like, super excited, as you said, that this is, like, taken away from the normal Superman mythos that we know, and that somebody else was attacking Krypton. They were at war, and somebody else made their son die,
Hi, Levi.
And I was loving that. That was, like, part of the mystery that was drawing me in. And then this week, we shown that was just a complete lie. And Brainiac set off that big, like, Phantom Zone looking thing and just blew everybody up instead. You know what I mean? Like, they changed what we were shown.
Yeah.
And that bugged me a little bit this week. Other than that small little thing, absolutely amazing. We went from last week having Lois be super and joining him hand in hand to take on Brainiac and get out of the whole mind construct that they were in. Was it the Black, not the Black Death, it was something, the Black Void, something like that. Black Mercy, right? And then this week we had Superman and Kara hand in hand, showing how super they are. She got her new suit, which was amazing. Oh, it was so good. And Brainiac,
he's so good. I love him as a motivation in this, because, like, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert on Brainiac or anything, because they haven't been able to do a lot on Brainiac in the past in terms of movies and TV and stuff like that. But I really love his motivation of being like, I was programmed to help win the war, and they were coming to a point where they no longer needed to win the war. And then he is then placed the question, what is my point? Why do I exist? Why am I here? And I think that's a really cool contrast of just, like, I don't know, like, I feel like he's almost like relatable in that sense of just being like,
because a lot of people would feel that way.
Yeah, 100%. Like he was born to do this one thing, and that thing, they were taking that away from him. He's like, well, I now have to take this into my own hands. I also think it makes so much sense why he went on to do all the things that he was doing afterwards. While he was going to planet to planet, because like, well, Krypton's gone now. Now what do I do? What's my new goal? And he's like, well, they designed me to create war, so I'm gonna go create war. Like, I think that's such an interesting, like, because like I was really loving Brainiac. I've been saying this the last couple of weeks, but I think that's such a cherry on the top. Just to be like, oh, I think that's the oomph he needed to be like, this guy is a really, really well written villain. And then again, like I've said, like Michael being the voice of behind that villain, I think helps it just all the more. Because again, he's such a great villain. He does such a great job, and you're just able to be like, yep, I feel his presence. I feel his, and also I think this episode did a good job of showing how powerful it is. Because there was like 3 separate times where they gave it their all. We're like, we got you, and he keeps coming back being like, oh, I don't think so. I'm still here, guys. So I thought, I don't know, I really, really liked it.
See, this is the thing. It's like when you talk about Hela, right, and her conquest of Asgard with Odin, right, and she got imprisoned, and Brainiac got destroyed because they didn't know when to stop, right? But then, if you had that in them, would that made them less effective at their jobs? Do you know what I mean? Sure. Like if you had a war machine that was programmed for that, and the whole brain of it, but in the back of its mind, it's like, oh, I really just want peace. You know, I don't want to be doing this. I really would be just making cans if I weren't here. You know, would he be as good at what he does? Or does he need to be constantly planning and being conniving and cunning and dangerous and ruthless? So it's kind of like, because you could just say to him, like, you're smart enough for this level of destruction. You're smart enough to realize that it's not decommissioned that you would have been. It just reprogrammed into something else. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, you wouldn't have just been destroyed. You know, you're too good at what you do. You know, you're too powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no ultimate end goal for him. Like if if you're able to take him back and be like, what do you actually want? Like what is your ultimate goal here? Because it's like, what comes after destruction? What happens when you succeed and you control all the empires and stuff? Like, what's next for you? And I bet he probably wouldn't have been able to give a satisfying answer. He's probably just like, well, I don't know. That's just shut up or whatever. You know what I mean?
He'd probably come up with like, oh, statistically, there would always be new enemies arriving.
Sure.
Dude, you're like, you can't just lay over the whole laptop.
Yeah, and I think it did really work as a finale. I did, and I think it works. Yeah, I actually think we did a lot of the legwork last week with different characters and all these emotional payoffs. So I think this week we were really able to focus on the big bombastic action of this finale. It was like, to me, very stereotypical, like season finale, where like balls to the walls, characters just giving their all and trying to like defend Earth. We've said this in past episodes, and I think it becomes even clearer in this episode. I really love this version of Kara. I could see this outside of the Arrowverse Kara, because I feel like that's not fair to compare that one. That's a whole other beast, I feel like. But I think besides that version, this has been my favorite version of the character I've seen. I think she's just really, really good. I love what the work they've done with her.
Yeah. I was saying, though, given the fact that they've chosen to make a team out of Jimmy, Lois, Clark, and Kara, they are going to have to ramp everything up next season and bring like more of a level of danger, and the frenemies that they have just aren't going to cut it anymore, Sure. But how do you do that? Do you go with just yet another alien? Do you go interdimensional? Is it too early to do dark side?
Yeah.
Do you mean, because if you just do like, what could there be on Earth that Superman and Supergirl are going to find a threat?
Sure. Yeah, and I think, again, I'm curious how they write it. Like, is it going to be Clark and Kara every episode going out and saving bad guys? Because if that's so, that is going to be tough to write, right? You run into the, like... I feel like Superman Lois kind of runs into this sometimes, where it's like, oh, Clark is getting beaten by a freaking tech or whatever. And, like, that's not a huge issue I have a lot of the time. Like Ben 10's another show that kind of runs into the issue where it's like, you have the most powerful device in the universe and you're getting beat by a thug or whatever. Like, those are things that you can run into at times like that. But I'm curious to see how they write around it. Or maybe she's not there every episode. Maybe she becomes more of a reoccurring character. Maybe, like I pitched a couple episodes back, maybe we split their storylines up a little bit. Like, maybe we have Kara and Jimmy going off on this mission, Clark and Lois on this one or whatever, and then they can collide. Their storylines can kind of come together. But
do you think?
I don't know.
Do you think her storyline will be? Do you think? Okay, so basically, there's no redemption for what she's done, right? Really, but there is the need to try, right? Because you have to try and make up for what you've done. Decimated planets, right?
I don't even know if she has to. Like, I think she's going to feel she's going to feel the need to want to redeem herself. I don't even know if if morally though she has to, because I don't think that's on her. I don't think what had happened to her.
She was a victim for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But at some point, she whether it's during this season or at the end of the season, she is going to go off into space, and she's going to be like, "I need to make amends." The only question is, what I'm asking is, do you think that we will go with her? Or do you think we're going to stay here?
You could be like, oh, she has to go off on a mission or whatever and leaving, Clark on Earth or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But no, you actually bring up a really good point, because I do think that's a really good arc of just like a survivor's guilt. Oh, I murdered billions of lives. I destroyed hundreds of planets. And I get to live. I get to be on Earth and have ice cream and hang out and eat soup. Like, that is a storyline. I'm not sure if we will fully dive into that, because I do know, like, I don't know, because I'm curious if maybe because season 1 and 2 were designed for Cartoon Network. They were made to be a Cartoon Network show before they knew they were going on Adult Swim. So I'm wondering if now that they know they're on Adult Swim, if maybe they could up it up a little bit. Maybe they could mature a little bit. Not that I have any problem with the current, like, maturity of the current show, because I actually quite like. I think it's very wholesome. I like it. But maybe they can dive into like a little bit of like what Teen Titans is able to do. That's a very childlike show. But then they would just be like, hey, here's a story about racism. Hey, the Slade just murdered a whole village of people. Like, how are they going to deal with that, right? So I think if they could, I could see them maybe toning some of these storylines down, or up a little bit, if you will. That's a good point.
Okay, so how did you feel about Lex running away? Just straight legging it. Right? Because Amanda Waller stood there like a badass, right? And then, what about you, sir? You know what I mean? Like A-Train running against that Shockwave guy. It's like, he was gone.
I think this episode was the most I did enjoy Waller. Just in fact of, like, there was a moment of, like, well, I fucked up. All right, I guess I'm gonna try and do whatever I can to fix this shit. Like, and I have felt like this season I thought Amanda was very stupid. Just like every step of the way. I'm like, I feel like you're normally smarter than this. Yes, you do whatever it takes to save the world, but I think you're actively making decisions that realistically are not in Earth's best interest. It's just like it felt more on the side of Lex being like, well, Superman's bad, so we must kill Superman or whatever. It's just like, but this was the moment where, like, all right, I like this. How are you?
It was climb the ladder, wasn't it? Sorry, go on.
Like, how are you feeling on Lex? Because I feel like, and I assume we're going to get more in upcoming seasons, in season 3 and 4 and stuff like that. But I wasn't. There was that one episode where I thought he was actually solid, where he's like, oh, we're going to go war against aliens, whatever. But I feel like I still need an oomph from him. Like, I'm still not feeling the, like, Lexification of him just yet, I feel.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It still feels like he's baby Luthor. He is not Lex yet. Like, he is intelligent. he's showing us that he's xenophobic.
Yeah.
But, pardon me, he's not showing us that he's ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's something that Luther has always been. Like, yeah, he's a coward, but he like even when he runs away, it's not like a full retreat. From my understanding, there's always like intent and shenanigans that are accompanying his retreat. This was just him fully Ross Kemping the situation and getting out of there. You know.
Yeah.
So there was no conniving in the moment. So yeah, I agree, and I need to see him be dangerous. He hasn't felt dangerous yet.
Yeah, there's like, I don't think anything they've done with him thus far in his journey is bad. I am just kind of waiting for that moment where, like, you are Lex Luthor. Like, you are that guy. And I'm waiting for that to drop. And again, if they want to spend a couple seasons kind of building that up, I'm fine with that. I think that's what made Michael's version of the character so good, is you're able to slow burn that, and especially if this is a multi-season show. It seems like it's doing relatively well over on Max. Like, it's got that season 3. I don't see any reason for them to end it at this point in time, so hopefully it goes a couple more years.
Not even close to done. Got so much to do. This is
So
the great
much.
thing about like Superman, like the big DC people and it's Marvel people, is they've got a great pantheon of villains.
Yeah.
And rogues gallery that are very, very interesting. So bring it on. Bring as much as you can have on.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of nice, like with the 3 current Superman projects at the moment, they're all kind of at a different point in Clark's life. Like like this show is clearly at the beginning of Superman's life, Clark's life. He's still learning. Like this episode, he was just learning about the sun and all that stuff. The upcoming James Gunn Superman movie seems like he's a couple years in. He's a little bit experienced, but he's still kind of like dealing with everything. And then Superman Lois is like at the end of his life, like, or not the end of his life, but like he's 40. You know, he's been doing this for he's been doing this for like 20 years. He has 2 kids. You know, he knows his way around the block at this point. I think it's cool we can have some.
Been around the sun a few times.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of the sun, I feel like that was one of my favorite moments of the episode, which I thought was really
yeah. It just shows how green being Supermen and super people they are, because obviously they don't know that that's their power, and they're going in expecting death. You know, it's like, oh, this is happening. Let's take our enemy in there. Yeah, and then they're in there like, well, we're still here. What's happening? Anyone? It's like, this is our power, Cal. It's like, oh, okay. I love the little bits on their suits and their faces and stuff. That was so cool.
Yeah, it felt like this season, especially. I guess these first 2 seasons, there's a lot of these fun little moments of Clark slowly like discovering these things for the first time, and it kind of feels like what Smallville wanted to do with Clark, and did do in a lot of ways, but it's like what they were wanting to do with the budget. Like you couldn't throw Tom Welling into the sun and show that he, wouldn't burn, right? That's not something that they could realistically do over there. But it's animated so they could fully just be like, yeah, they're in the sun. And then they go freaking Super Saiyan against Brainiac, which was like they just turned into like a star and attacked Brainiac, which I thought was an insane moment.
So good. And they're like, oh, they're cheering your name. And it's like, yeah, and yours too. It's like, oh, really? Oh, that's so nice. Bam.
Yeah. I didn't, because I saw Twitter. I saw like the final moments of the episode posted on Twitter, but was there a moment there when Kara like sacrificed herself that you thought, oh, maybe she dies here, or you're like, nah, she's
for a split second? Yeah, I weren't sure. I genuinely weren't sure because of like Clark shouting, but I was happy to see that she was still there, so I'm very grateful.
Me too.
She's a very good Kara, like you said, so I didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I could have seen it. Like, I could have seen it being the thing where, like, oh, we can't deal with her next season, so kill her off here. But I'm very glad I didn't go that approach, and I feel like this 4-person team has really grown, and we haven't even really seen that much of the 4 of them as a team yet. Outside of these very small, I guess just this episode, I guess. So I'm excited to see how's that progresses. Do you think Brainiac's really dead? I feel like
he's
teased there
not close.
Yeah. That little little box that just went dark. I was like, that's not destroyed.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's too convenient. Too convenient. Yeah, no.
And also, I feel like Brainiac might be the show's. I don't know. It might kind of be the show's Zod in a way. Like he is the direct. He is the direct reason that their whole planet died. So I feel like he could almost be Clark's arch nemesis in this continuity, if you will. So I'm glad they don't kill him off. Although I will say like in the past I've been kind of anti like no more Zod. We don't need more Zod in Superman stuff. The way they actually set up this season, I actually would not be against if they did Zod next season. I do feel like there are some fun little things that you can add on just from the arc of this season going into next season and being like, well, Brainiac killed all of our people. They're all dead. It's his fault. It's just us now. We got to deal with that. And then I feel like you could have a nice little moment of like, surprise, actually no. And I feel like you could have some fun with the idea that like we both came from Krypton, but we are both good and we're trying to do what's right. But they're not everyone from Krypton is going to do it right. We actually have an uncle that survived and he's causing chaos and we have got to deal with him. And maybe there's an idea that like maybe Amanda was right. Like people from here are going to try to attack us and how are we going to balance those two things kind of thing. So I would be open for Zod if they want to do that.
In that case, like he'd have to be like in the classic, off in the Phantom Zone thing before the destruction.
Sure.
But then, in that case, Brainiac would have mobilized them and used him to his advantage. So, like, where have they been this whole time?
Sure.
Plus, like, not to like poop over your thing, but discussing stuff. Like, I just feel it might be a little redundant because Brainiac's whole thing is being Kryptonian and war, and then if we have season 3 of just Kryptonian and war, it might be a bit stale. So if
you want to mix it up a little bit, yeah, maybe save him for a couple seasons. That's definitely a very fair point. And like I also think like if you do want to bring him in down the line, he has to be different than the Zod we know from the past because Brainiac is kind of like what we normally know as Zod. So if you do him, he has to be different. He has to be unique than the versions we've seen in the past. Then that opens up the question: who do we want to see next season? Like, who do we want to follow up Zod?
Do you know what I'm in? Like, as we sit and think about that, I love the idea of what you said before about Brainy being the big bad and the nemesis, especially with the added layer that. If Kara does end up in the Legion of Superheroes, then that she's going to be even more trepidatious over their initial friendship, So that'd be very interesting and fun to see because she's supposed to age like Clark and very slowly. So her ending up in the future is very possible.
Poor Jimmy.
Yeah, right. But in lieu of Zod as the villain next season, I'm open to Lex, right? So he ran away because he felt not powerful enough, right? So in my mind, John Henry is going to be getting an upgrade on his suit, and I think Lex is going to be building his suit because he would have been like rewatching the battle and seeing like, oh, hang on a minute, there's just a normal guy there rocking around with a big steel hammer, and I ran off scared. Okay, that's a good idea. And then I think like him starting the Legion of Superheroes, I would be kind of down for. Villains, sorry, the Legion of Supervillains. Him on the hero side.
I was like, really? Okay.
No. But if he starts the Legion of Doom, I'm down for that because I think that could keep Kara and Clark busy. But the only issue with that is a lot of that roster includes Batman villains who won't be around for however long.
Yeah, I'm wondering because I'm trying to look because Brainiac is such a hard act to follow. Like there's a lot of people that wanted Brainiac for the first Superman movie in James Gunn's like DCU, and I'm like, I love Brainiac, but like as a first movie, that's such a hard act to follow. Like if that's your first villain, how do you follow that, right? and I feel like we might be in a similar situation. Like, I don't know, I'd love if they could somehow do like a Lobo or something. Like that'd be fun if you could manage it correctly. Maybe Bizarro. Like maybe we have Lex Luthor make a Bizarro. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Someone to like combat both of them. Like it's like the added strengths of both Supergirl and Superman or whatever.
Yeah. See, the thing with Lobo, every time I've seen it, it's always ended up in like a stalemate, where he's just like, "Okay, you seem great. I'll see you later."
Yeah.
You know, like
he works as like a main villain. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just you can't do that for a whole season. So I was thinking Lobo as well because of the power set.
Sure.
But it could. Okay, so this is how it could make it work, right? Is that the whole time Lobo keeps getting pushed back by the pair of them, but he is trying to get a bounty on Kara to answer for her crimes.
That'd be fun.
And then one episode he succeeds, like by splitting them up, and then Clark has to go into space. Bum bum bum. Careful. No. Okay, I can't look. Sorry, my cat on the keyboard. I'm still here.
Absolutely. No, that's a good idea, just in terms of like using the consequences of our characters' actions and making them address it head on is a great idea, I think. What do you think of Amanda Waller being wanted? Like, it seems like she's finally going to get her due. Potentially, like, do we think Sam's gonna get put back in like the Argist whatever kind of?
I'm not sure. Like, there's always going to be like a scapegoat, but I feel like she's so Black Ops and Black Site work that there's going to be somebody that's like, yeah, no, we need her. She can't be in prison. We need her at work. You know. But she's too good at what she does, and she is. She is a monster. But like you do and you don't need somebody in that position. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I don't think she's going to suffer in prison at all. Not for a second.
I mean, yeah. Maybe it's an idea that like we lock her up, we get her behind bars or whatever, and then halfway through the season we're like, shit, we need her. Go break her out.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam would be there. Okay, Slugger.
I will say, I do. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but just that was it. That Sam and Amanda Waller seem to have a great relationship, and I think we could see that at play some more.
Yeah, I think my only like not even an issue, just something I was kind of thinking about. Like, I do think some of these storylines at the end kind of like appeared back up, and we're like, oh yeah, I forgot you guys were a thing. And I feel like maybe they could have dealt with a little bit more growth before getting to that point. Like, there's some of these villains where I'm like, would they really want to be helping Superman? Like, I know they're trying to save the world, but like, I don't know. I feel like they redeemed some of them a little bit too quickly, even though I do like that moment. I actually think it's a nice moment to kind of like soft end the episode, or like this 2-season arc, if you will. Same with like Steel and stuff like that, where I was like, oh, okay, you got the suit back. All right, so we're just doing this now, right? So
yeah,
even Sam, like his moment of being like, oh, let's go save Superman, I was just like, I don't know, I feel like you jumped a couple of steps to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. He left and he was still anti-Superman.
Yeah,
wasn't he? You know, like he might have been like, oh yeah, he did this one good thing once, but whatever, you know. And then, so now it's like, where do you stand? That wasn't shown. It's kind of like you just don't care anymore, and you're fully on his side. Where are you landing?
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree. I did have the same moment, and I'm curious because when you said you were surprised some of the people turned up, were you thinking about that guy, that blue-haired guy with the bat and the invisible guy? Because I was surprised they turned up as well. Rory and Livewire, that makes sense. Those make sense.
Yes. 100%.
Banshee kind of makes sense. The others, they were like in it once or twice. Where did they come from? Why would they 100%. Do it?
I can understand the prospect of like, well, the world's going to end. All right, we got to go save the world. A very Suicide Squad-esque, but I think they framed it like, oh, we're friends now. We're all going to help each other. And it's just like, I feel like that's uncharacteristic for all of you outside of Heatwave and Livewire. I think, yeah. Like those again, those two make sense. But like I probably would have liked it a little bit better if it was like almost like a Suicide Squad-esque moment, being like, all right, guys, go save the world because we or blow up your heads type of thing. I don't know.
Yes, like having Waller controlling the situation. But Sam brought them, but
sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I get what you mean. It felt disconnected. It did feel disconnected. Absolutely.
But I do like it as kind of like a ending of the circle, and I will say this, one of my favorite things of the episode, I think, is like, you can tell they did season 1 and season 2 at the same time. It feels like they are pulling everything full circle, and it felt like they ended this episode in the chance that they were not getting a season 3. Like, I think this could have been a series finale if they wanted to be, especially how they end the show. I think it works very well as like a series finale. Like, if we never saw the show again, I'm sad, but I'm content because I think it ends very well.
Yeah, short but sweet.
100%.
I understand. I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Just like someone, like the whole epilogue was probably my favorite bit of this episode. Like, there's so many tiny moments here I love. Like, I love Kara waking up and having the Kents like, oh, you're awake. Do you want soup or do you want whatever? Like, that's such a sweet moment. Like, Clark and Kara playing catch is so sweet. Like, finally someone, like, I feel like that's such a good parallel to what season 1 when John's teaching Clark how to play catch, right? And being like, well, you have to watch. Don't do it too hard. And first time forever, he doesn't have to like reduce his strength. Like, he is someone that can be there for him and know what he's going through and be a companion for Clark in such a sweet way.
Both of them aren't alone. It's wonderful.
They're
truly not alone. Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that scene. And the final Lois and Clark scene I thought was beautiful, being like, well, I don't want to be Vicky Vale. I want to be the Lois Lane. I want to like define my mark here. And I thought that was there's that really like romantic scene where it's like, no matter where you are, just say my name and I'll be there. And it's just like, oh my gosh, Clark. That's such a good line.
Yeah, right. You smooth bastard. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself with that scene because I should have seen it coming, but I was so wrapped up in the moment. I was like, okay, wow, okay, so she's gonna be a Gotham for a bit. They're gonna make this work, and then bam, nope, their love is too strong. They ain't going anywhere. I should have expected this. It's Lois and goddamn Clark. Of course, they're gonna make it work. And of course, that's what she says. I don't want to be the second Vicky, but I want to be the first Lois Lane.
That's so Lois Lane of her. Yeah.
Of course. It was so good. The writing in the show really is good. You can tell it's done by fans, that they actually get the characters. It's not just like the whole superhero thing, which they're having fun with in a very interesting style, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, they actually care about what they're doing, because the last couple of episodes of Lois and Clark together, and even their breakup, dude, like, oh my god, I felt that. Like, I felt that. That was harsh, like, you could feel both of them were feeling that. I will also say, tiny little nitpick, okay? Tiny little nitpick, since we're discussing it, right? Right, so like how when they broke up, he was flying off outside the window and not at breakneck speed, right? And she's like, yeah, he's different, break, but that's why I like him, okay?
Yeah.
And he heard nothing, but he can hear the world chanting like 3 stars away. Are you shitting me?
That's fair. That's fair.
So yeah,
that's also just a Superman thing, though. Like we also kind of have those similar issues on like Superman and Lois and stuff like that, where it's like, why can't Clark hear this thing? It's because we don't want him to hear that at this moment or whatever.
Like literally as well with his plot convenience, because Vicky Newman and the boys could have killed Homelander a million different days over the course of the show. So it's just literally plot convenience. So
sure. But yeah, I mean, is there anything? Do you kind of any final thoughts on this season? Anything you want to see next season for My Adventures?
Well, I was going to ask you. I'm curious. How many years do you think Bruce Wayne is behind this Clark Kent?
Does he exist? I don't know. I mean, I feel like he has to exist.
The amount of Gotham and Vicky Vale and this and this and this that they've put out there.
Yeah.
Batman is in the universe, right? It's just whether he's born yet, right?
Yeah.
That's the question. And when do you think that will happen? Because he could, season 3 could literally be like the plot of BVS, right? In how they both think, like he thinks, oh, Batman's a villain. I need to be out there stopping it. You know, he's out there hurting people, but he doesn't doesn't quite get it. You know, that he's just too much.
It's one where I don't want to get my hopes up too much on it, just because like they've said that they don't want to tackle Batman, that they want to keep it about Superman. But at the same time, I'm like, are you lying though? Are you just trying to keep that away from us? Because I don't know. I would be very interested what a Batman looks like in this universe. Or at least what a Bruce Wayne looks like in this universe or something. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'd love, like, this season we got teases of like Green Lantern Corps and like the Thugarians and stuff like that. So I'd be very open if they start introducing like some of these otherworldly concepts. Maybe we go to like Atlantis next season or whatever. Maybe do some fun things like that. You know what I mean? You know, we maybe. And like, I actually, you know who I think would fit more in this universe would probably Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman would fit very well in this like continuity.
Do you think they would have like a whole love triangle thing to work through?
Oh, I hope not. I'm never a big fan of like Wonder Woman and Clark as like a couple. That's never a ship I'm a huge fan of. But maybe.
What was it in the DC animated universe? They tried that for a little while. Weren't the worst. Weren't the worst, but it weren't Lois and Clark for sure.
Yeah, it felt weird to me a little bit, but that's just me. All right, let's move on to The Acolyte. I want to hear your thoughts on this episode, and I'll maybe pitch in if I have anything to add.
Just wow. What a tremendous finale, honestly. I'm like I said the whole time, I've been waiting for this show and it hasn't disappointed once. Honestly, it hasn't disappointed once. I've loved every second we're here. There's one tiny nitpick of the finale, and that is you could tell when Osha and May were fighting that was a bit CGI. But that's just because of how much of their faces that they showed, because of how intense the fighting was. So, and the only reason I really noticed it is in this finale of The Boys, which we'll get to. There was a person that fought themselves as well, so that was noticeable. Other than that, it truly paid homage to what George Lucas's original love of cinema brought Star Wars to life, right? So there's a bunch of westerns and Asian cinema that are influences for Star Wars originally, samurais and other sorts of things. So obviously that's Japanese, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the wire work that they use is all Chinese stuff, but it's all sorts of Asian cinema that George Lucas liked, and the fight between Soul and Khmer this week was insane,
It was
and
really good.
very much touched on it and used those as inspiration. How did you feel about this week's episode?
Yeah, no, I think this was my favorite episode of the season. I think that actually might also just come to the fight scenes. I think I've consistently said I've really enjoyed the fight scenes in the show. And maybe that might just because of like lightsabers are the most prominent in this show that they've been in a while, which again, I don't think is an issue in Star Wars. We've been over that, but it has been very cool. I did very much enjoy the like Soul lightsaber fight scene we had this episode, and also the fight scene within Osha and May. I thought their fight scene this episode was also good. I loved how they alternated between those two, and I actually really loved. I will say in this show, I really liked Osha's kind of journey to the dark side, and like I really enjoyed like I love the like transparency of like it's not black and white. Like her lightsaber turned red this week, which I thought was a really cool moment when she like goes to do it and it fights the two and it turns around. I'm like, holy shit, this is really really cool. Yeah. And like I feel like there's just a moment where it's like she doesn't feel evil in that scene. Like she doesn't necessarily outside of the fact that she killed a man. Like yes, that was the dark side. But like even after that, she's like I don't know what am I do? You know, like I feel like that was a really nice scene of being like I don't know what to do. I don't know what just happened to me. How do I deal with this? And I think like her transition from episode 1 to episode 8, I think was really fun to watch. And I don't have like a huge amount of thoughts on this episode, but I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a good finale. Out of all, I mean, I'll say it. Like I said last week, I was like, I'm not sure about how they're going to wrap it up. And I actually thought they did a good job of wrapping it up. I think as far as like it had a very satisfying ending. It felt like the end of a season. It didn't just feel like, well, now on to season 2 or whatever. Like it did feel like a full-fledged season arc, which I thought I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I was unsure if they were going to land that, or whether they were just going to make it feel like one big story, and we were sat in the middle of it, you know. Yeah. So I am very glad that they landed that as well, for sure.
Are you sad about Soul dying? Because
heartbroken. Heartbroken. Yeah. That cannot be stated enough. I am devastated at the losses we've had.
Yeah.
Jackie? Goddamn Jackie, dude. Goddamn Jackie. We lost Jackie, man. Like, oh, that's a loss, dude. Oh, fucking Jackie, dude. No. And then Soul? Don't even get me started on Soul. I'll be here a week. Yeah. Just Soul's gone, man. I knew it was coming, but still, like, having it happen, painful nonetheless. But it kind of had to happen for the story, you know.
Sure, I think her arc had to, yeah.
But yeah, he was such a good character. This is the thing. Like, what are the Jedi? Because they're not. Everyone sees them as superheroes, right? But like, the thing is like they have their religion, but they are also just the same as everybody else. Like one could argue superheroes are as well, but they are part of an order that has like some kind of deal with the Republic, but then that doesn't mean to say that they have like authority over everybody, you know. It's an interesting order, is all I'm saying. It's an interesting religion. And Senator Raincourt, when he was talking about how they claim to control the uncontrollable, i.e. their emotions, I think that's a very, very true thing to say, because like the Jedi's, like the Jedi code is like there is no emotion, there is only like peace or serenity or something like that. There is no this. There's no chaos, there's only harmony, or there's only like this and this. There is only peace, there is the Force or whatever, right? So that's always what they're striving for, but it's not to say what they always are, you know? And they're just as fallible as everybody else, as people. just as prone to negative feelings and emotions, just because they might be better at confronting them and more prepared to do so than an average person, they still have them, right? And Jedi Master Vanastra, the green lady with the lightsaber whip, my God, is she a prime example of that? Because this is the thing as well, right? Even if the Jedi had the external review from the Republic, right? And they were like, okay, well, we're going to change how we're going to not give you carte blanche out there. You know, it's a case of you don't just have a James Bond license to kill, right?
Sure.
They could still just do what they're doing. You know what I mean? So basically, she was seduced by power. She was seduced by the power that the Jedi have, and then has concocted this whole elaborate story to keep them in power. You know?
Yeah.
And doing so, I don't know, like made it easier for Palpatine, to be sure. You know, like it helped set up their downfall. You know, It's really interesting. And they're just full of hypocrisy. The Jedi are full of hypocrisy. Episode 3, Jedi Master Indara rocks up to the Coven of Witches. The Jedi don't take children. The second it shows them as possibly being force sensitive, well, you know the Jedi have a right to test children.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like, dude, that was 3 minutes ago. Less than 3 minutes ago. You know? I love this show because it brings up so many questions. Some of them it answers, some of them it doesn't, because it leaves you to answer them. Because it makes you think about it, right? Because the Jedi, right, pushed and set to be the good guys, but there are a group of people that are just living on an isolated planet, or mostly isolated planet.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just minding their business, and you have come over, and through your actions they are now all gone, you know, just because they practiced a different part of your religion. That's insane. You know, like Kamir, even if he didn't kill everybody in that group, right? If he just if he didn't push Osha, right? The fact that he drew his sword and it was red had everybody on standby. They were all ready. Okay, this guy. Okay, is everybody on point? Come on, guys, line up. Come on. You know, like Jedi do not let Sith just exist out in the universe. They either arrest or kill them. You know, they are zealots. Right, but we keep sitting here talking about them as they're the good guys. What? Because they preach the light side of the Force. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know. So again, this show brings up fascinating questions. Honestly, I forget who it was, but they were talking about that it's about power and who gets to use it. That's one of the questions, and it's very true because the Jedi are very much gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, no, I've definitely enjoyed the element of the show about who are the good guys, and obviously the Jedi are the good guys, but sometimes maybe some of them won't be, right? I mean that even goes down to the Anakin stuff, right? Like he was a Jedi, but what was really in his heart? What did he really desire, right? He and how many of those Jedis could have similar kind of thoughts and feelings and stuff like that, but hide it, you know? So yeah, I'd say that I've enjoyed the show. I've actually liked it more as I've gone on. It was kind of a rocky start for me at first, and I do think it did consistently get better in these last 2 or 3 episodes. But I also think it's a show that can, for me at least, improve if it gets a season 2. I'm someone, like, I know there's a whole cult on the internet that's like, oh, get it canceled, end the show, whatever. But I hope he gets a second season. Obviously, you love the show. A lot of my friends have enjoyed the show. I hope it gets a second season. So I think it can only get better in time. I think
it's funny. We were talking about it before when we said that this is a show for people like me that like are very lore heavy, that know about Star Wars and stuff. But I'm a person that like has watched no Star Wars in my friend group, and he's sat and watched the whole show with me week to week and loved all of it and been very engaged. So it is a show that for everybody, to be honest, and they've done very, very well with it. The creator of it, and the crew are all what most of you can tell are fans of the show.
Yeah,
and they give it do their due diligence.
I agree, and I think obviously it's a very hot topic right now. I think it's going to be one of those projects, just like the prequels, that in 5 years people are going to start rewatching and be like, "Wait, why did this get so much hate? Why did it have thousands of videos, people hating on the actors and death threats? Like why was this a thing?" And I think it's going to get a resurgence at some point. And I'm excited for that day, because I do think, and you know, probably same with me, like hopefully someday I can look at it and be like, oh, I actually liked it a lot more on rewatch or whatever it may be in the future. As far as season 2 goes, obviously we don't know if we're getting one yet. What do you? I mean, obviously, I feel like I have to talk about the ending really quickly. I assume, I didn't watch any breakdown, that was Yoda, right? That was him, or is that another one?
Yeah.
That was Yoda.
Yeah. Puppet Yoda, which means like so. Sorry, so it's funny because episode 4 or 5, and the Ghost of 6 is like, it's a puppet, right? And episode 1 is a puppet, and then 2 and 3 he's CGI. And they just went full puppet again because it's episode 1 Yoda. So it's like, yay! Yay! I love Puppet Yoda.
Yeah, my mom was in the scene like while I was watching it, and she's like, "Wait, he's still alive?" I was like, "Oh, nope, he's just getting started. he's just getting going."
Yeah, he's still got a few hundred years yet. Well, at least another 100.
Yeah.
I love it.
But in terms of season 2, let's just assume it's getting another season. What do you want to see? What are you hoping to get out of that second season?
See, I'm not sure, right? Because we were talking about like the thing at the end, and I thought you meant like Osha and Kamir stood there, right? So like, it's such a trip for me, okay? Because he's seduced her in with his own lie, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's been manipulating this poor girl her whole life, apart from her mother, because even her mother was just honest with her, right? Apart from telling her that she was 2 people, so not completely honest. 1 person, sorry. Or for their intentions, like, what are your intentions? You want me to leave the coven, but how do you want me to leave the coven? And then so just everybody's just been lying to her, and then Kamir has said like, okay, I want the rule of 2. I want to have a pupil that I can share with, right? And just exist and just do Earth, you know. Meanwhile, he's got his master in the back, shielding away. And is he doing all of this for information? Is Plagueis going to betray Kamir? Is Kamir hoping to use Osha's strength to overthrow Plagueis? There's like a lot of questions to be answered, but the thing is Osha killed Sol because he was lying to her the whole time, right? What the hell does Kamir think is going to happen when Osha finds out? By the way, you know, I sat there and got you to go dark side and stuff, but I kind of lied about it all, and we got another guy we got to worry about. He told me to come and meet you, by the way, and do all of this shenanigans and mess around with your other half / sister, you know. And he's going to die, right? And then at the end, he stood there walking up on the thing, holding her hand, like, "Oh, this is so nice. We're gonna be together." And it's like, dude, I don't know, I don't know, because you're sat there holding her hand, which is holding the lightsaber, like, and as unifying as that is, like, and as much of a people can be a team, there's going to be a leader in that relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be, it's either her goals, her desires, or his. You know, they can struggle and fight to do both, but whether they can is going to be another question. But everybody's hyping on their romance, right? Oshamir, and as nice as that is, it's a doomed romance. We know it's a doomed romance. Leslie Headland said it's a doomed romance. We know from the canon that it's a doomed romance. The question is, how does it play out, right? Do they work as a team, unified, Oshamir versus Plagueis, or is he going to be insidiously sliding in between both of them and separating them? Because again, like, they can be a couple, they can be a power couple, but like, if you're being a power couple and doing stuff together, you can't be doing both people's like goals, right? You're doing one or the other. And given that this is her story, it's most likely going to be her goals. You know, she's going to be like, while he's a teacher, she's going to be like a strong, fierce student that just drives the story. So I think Plagueis is going to be looking to push Chimera aside. And I think he's going to try and take on Osha, but then realizing that Plagueis is behind all of the stuff that has happened to May, potentially, you know, I think she's going to try and kill him, but she's going to fail, obviously, because he has to be there to teach Sidious.
Sure.
So he's safe, you know, that's the crazy thing. But then they could also, like, they could just run off together to the Outer Rim. And beyond the Outer Rim, there's a place called the Unknown Regions, which is something we dealt with in, like, Ahsoka Season 2. So, like, a place of space that's unexplored and just nobody knows about. So they could just go off there. They are that powerful. You know? The only other question I have, there's two questions I have that didn't get answered, right? And I'm sorry for waffling on.
No.
One, very, very important, right? In episode 7, the flashback episode with the Wookiee fight, right? When Mother Anastasia is doing that big no moment, she starts disappearing, and so does May together, right? And then she got with Soul's lightsaber, and she stops disappearing, and so does May. Why was that happening? Why was that happening? Did that happen because she ascended? Was Osha doing it? Was Osha not doing it because she didn't ascend? But as we've seen, Osha's still powerful with that stuff, because the second that sense deprivation helmet went on, she started getting Chimera in a vision, and that's the other thing. I'm dying to know what he was seeing. What was he seeing? Because if it was still like just her having a vision, that's a trip. That's a trip, because she's like, I don't trust you. So she's just put him on full lockdown until she felt ready, which is that's so crazy. It's like, I've created my own safe space. Bam, everybody's out, you know, like, wow. Okay. You got to respect that though. You kind of got to respect that. Wow. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see her Osha's kind of dark side journey next season. I definitely think that will especially without Soul around, because Soul was kind of my thing, bringing me back each week. So I think I'll be curious. And also, I mean, do we think we're actively going to have Yoda in the season next season, or is it just kind of like a small little appearance?
No, I don't know. That's interesting. That is very interesting, actually. That's actually really interesting. I think so. Like, there's not like the thing is with the Jedi Order, with there's like thousands of people all subscribing to the same religion, but everybody's going to have like completely different ideas about what that interpretation is and how to teach it, right? So it's kind of like the whisper game a little bit, you know, and having sects break away from the Jedi Order is not unheard of. And there is actually a time, right, where Yoda, this is in Legends time, went full Karen, right, as leader of the Jedi Order. And then there were some people that were like, hey, by the way, we're still Jedi or whatever, but what we started to believe and work out is that the Force is just the Force, and the potential of good and evil is in us, right? So, like, we are the controllers of that, and we're going to call the Force the potentium, right? Because it is the potential of both, but we are the controllers and the masters of our destiny and stuff, right? And then Yoda was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not having that. So he got them kicked out of the Order and exiled, right?
Sure.
So what I'm trying to say is, like, this, as well as the Jedi Order have a whole thing with the Republic and the Senate going on, and a diplomacy that they have to deal with, it's happening in the Order as well. There is so much infighting and bitching and backstabbery, but it's the same as the Sith Academy, honestly. And let it be known, pardon me, it has to be known that is not a Disney or Acolyte solely thing. Pardon me. That has happened since like 20 years ago, if not longer. Like, it's been happening for decades upon decades upon decades. That is not a new thing. The Jedi are kind of D-bags sometimes.
Sure.
So
absolutely. So yeah, I hope it gets a second season. Maybe we'll be back here. I don't know.
Who's your favorite character?
Inside this show, Soul, definitely Soul.
Okay, who's your second?
Probably Osha, but like,
okay,
she's the main character. I feel like
I've got to say
Yoda? Can I say Yoda? Is that cheating?
You can, but like, he was in it for like less than 2 seconds. So can you say it? I don't know.
I'm taking it. Give me that green puppet.
I
love Yoda.
Keep past. As much as I am on Soul Patrol and will always be a Soul Patroller, Jackie, dude, goddamn Jackie, she has so much potential, you know. Yeah, goddamn. I'm sorry, yeah.
But yeah, I say we move on to our final show here. The Boys season 4, episode 8. Oh my gosh, this was an episode. Holy shit, there's so much to talk about with this one. I actually don't even know where to start. What was your kind of just like overall thoughts on the episode? Do you think it ended well?
It ended in a very interesting place. And I don't know how it's gonna finish. Obviously we're getting some kind of variation of Scorched Earth, but like they've left it so open, you know, and with so many, so everybody's so far off of their usual markers that they would be on, that it's just like, where are we going? Where are we going?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like open season now. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, because, you know, like how A-Train got Blue Hawk.
Yeah.
Is it Blue Hawk?
It was his heart, right?
Yeah, no, but I meant like how he got him, you know, like at the end of Herogasm. Like it's kind of going to be like a lot of that. A lot of how Homelander was getting the construction workers, but then covering it up. But without the covering it up. Like they are just letting everybody peek behind the curtain now in season 5. And it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. Something I'm curious about is what you said about the end. Do you think that's a relationship that can be mended or no?
Between who?
Homelander and who he found in the tube.
Oh, Soldier Boy. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, we could jump to the very last scene here.
You at the end. The end. I just wanted to a quick.
No, that's fine. I'm very. I mean, I think that's a fun way to kind of end it. I feel like this final season, you have to bring back everybody. You have to bring in all the people. I'm hoping Soldier Boy is like an actual part of the season, like he was in season 3, because he's so good. He's such a fun like commodity, and you don't quite know where he's going to land. Like he could be. Maybe Homelander could sway him on his side, or he can go over to the boy. Maybe he saves the boys. Maybe he breaks into the whatever and gets them all out or something. I don't know, because maybe like Soldier Boy and Starlight teaming up to save the boys would be kind of be sick as hell.
Because, like, basically in my head, with season 5 is Civil War. You know. Yeah. So Starlight's gonna have some backup from volunteers to help get some of the guys out. So I don't know. I think the fact that they've got a trilogy of patronage, you know, like the lineage that they've got going on. Yeah. They got grandfather, father, and son right now, you know, and like. That's such an interesting, like villain thing to fight. You know, a whole family of Supes. Like they got to take the strongest family of Supes the world has ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only family of Supes, right? Are there any other like lineages like that? I don't think there has been.
Good point.
Not that we know of, at least.
Good point. I'm not sure because. I look at Emma on Gen V, right? The shrinking girl. I look at her and I wonder if her mother has superpowers.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this one.
It's such a good
balls to the wall. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Let's tackle the Huey and Starlight Annie drama of the week, because that was such a heartbreaking part of the story. Like, it's just the shapeshifter fully taking over Starlight's life, proposing to Huey. That was such a heart-wrenching moment for me. I don't stop it. So and so frustrating, and actually I want to give it up for this actress, because it feels like a different character. Like she did, even just me saying here, like I almost called her, like shouted this actress playing her. I'm like, no, it's the same actress we've had for 4 seasons. Like she is so good in the role. And especially that scene where she kind of goes down into the bunker with the other Starlight, and that's a different woman. That's a completely different character that we've stumbled upon. And she does such a good job at you could tell the difference between those two.
Where do you land on the the makeup bit, right? Because there's a whole bunch of people picking sides as to she shouldn't have been mad, or he should have been mad, that she was upset, or she shouldn't have forgiven him so easily. There's like a whole array of people of where they stand on their relationship at the moment. How do you feel it was handled?
She is so justified in being angry in that moment. Like this is the thing I think we deal with a lot on the internet, where characters are allowed to have moments of I don't want to say weakness, but they're allowed to have moments of like vulnerability. They're allowed to be angry in the moment on the thing that just happened, and it happens every time. And it almost always just happens to like the like woman characters. If it's like Lois Lane, if it's Amber, if it's whatever it may be on all these type of shows. But it's like they were mad. A very traumatic thing just happened to her. Someone kidnapped her for 10 days, took over her life, proposed to her boyfriend, slept with him, like sexually assaulted his boyfriend, took over. Like, she has every right in that moment to be like, to want to yell, to want to scream. This is not a normal situation that anyone has ever been in. She's allowed to be frustrated. Yeah. And then I think it's also, I think Starlight handled it as maturely that anybody could in that situation. I feel like most people would not have handled it as well as her. Like, she was able to be angry, let that out, her walk away from the situation, because she didn't let it simmer. She's like, that's out. I am moving along. Let's get on to the mission. I would not be able to go on to my next mission after being trapped under a bunker for 10 days. I could do it, right? So I think she does that. And then she was able... Yeah, and then she was able to come back to Huey and in her own little way being like, I understand and I forgive you, right? Because also it's not on Huey, right? It's like what she said was technically out of pocket. It was technically out of line, right? Because it wasn't his fault. He was also taking advantage of her. This is something I will say, once we save the whole world from Homelander, we need couples therapy, because this is a very traumatic situation. But no, I personally thought, like, the show wise, it was done very well. I actually, one of my favorite parts of the episode was that moment of just like how they were able to handle it with each other. And again, the people on the internet complaining about it, it was
the 80s the 80s rom-com speech. You like that bit? I did as well. I didn't hate it, but I understand like what you're saying, right? And again, she is fully justified. I just felt I don't want to say it was contrived, but like she should have, like, I can't remember if she did or like verbatim, but like I feel like she didn't start it with like, I know nobody is at fault but this person. Sure. You know what I mean? But I feel angry, and because then I would have felt like the justification, but like he felt he had to defend himself, and then even cheered when he was like, yeah, landed, I'm not in the doghouse, yay.
Sure.
Sure. Like, again, you were a victim too. You keep being made the punchline, and it's not really okay.
I will agree with that. Is I wish they would just let Huey have like these vulnerable moments to kind of express that what happened to him was not okay. And again, it's tough because I feel like the characters themselves don't have time to have these moments, which very much sucks. And yeah, no, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think this kind of goes into what we were talking about in episode, I think it was episode 5 with like the like essay stuff with Huey. And it's just like, it's very clearly to the writers that this is a comical thing, that this is a thing that like, he's a boy, so it doesn't matter. And I think that this season could have been a very nice moment to address this situation, to flip it on its head and be like, no, this is still, just because he is a boy, this is a serious issue. It doesn't matter because, he's a boy, so he must like it. Like, those are the stereotypes of Hollywood. Those are the stereotypes of people who've never been in a situation like that. I personally haven't. I'm grateful I haven't. But it's I did think that was their opportunity to I don't know, but like I actually do agree with that I think maybe they could have took the opportunity to be like, hey, are you okay? You know, it could have been someone else. It could have been like Mother's Milk being like, hey, are you all right? Like this sucks. This is a terrible situation.
Because I think the path that they've chosen with that, like, and the way the awareness for men's mental health and things like that are moving in like bigger and broader and being spoken of more. I think that the path that they've chosen will kind of date the show a little bit.
Sure.
You know, like if when you go back and watch Friends, and you're like, like they are very homophobic. You know, very homophobic. It's like, oh, everything's gay. Oh my god, that's okay. Gay. You know, and it's just like, calm down. Just be comfortable with yourselves. Relax your skin. Calm down. You know. So I don't know. I feel like again, this is going to be something that dates the show.
Sure. And even like Mother's Milk, I think like they tried to give him a story about like anxiety and like responsibility. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, but they kind of addressed that just being like, well, how do you solve it? He doesn't. He just kind of keeps going. You know, he kind of just keeps moving. He has this problem, and again, it's tough because what is he supposed to do, right? He can't just leave.
No,
but it's a
no, especially when they're not concerned about borders anymore.
Yeah. It's very much a thing of like how he's dealing with his anxiety is the wrong way to deal with anxiety. Like they don't do a good job. And again, it's not their fault. Like, how are you supposed to deal with it in this situation? But I'm just saying, like, there is just an overall theme, I think, with characters about just like mental health and how they're addressing it and stuff like that. So, but with that being said, I am in defense of the internet against Annie's reaction because I do think that reaction is 100% warranted, and I feel like she needed to almost have. It'd be weird if she didn't have a reaction like that. I feel like.
Okay, but again, right? So she had that reaction, but Huey's only reaction after his thing 2 episodes ago was him crying about his father.
Yes.
Not that he had to fart on cake. He nearly got drilled with extra holes. You know, like got meringued by Ashley in the politest possible way, you know, like, but he wasn't allowed his outburst. And I know we've agreed to this as a double standard, but
sure,
even what is his breaking point? Is he this show's Job from the Bible? Like, is he just gonna have to endure all of the crap that comes his way? I mean, it's like he's gonna get a superpower where he just starts exploding like Soldier Boy when he's had enough. You know, his whole thing is just, I can just teleport away. You know, so like, when is he gonna have enough? Is my question. I would have lost my stuff.
100%. Yeah, I think that's honestly, I'd say that's almost one of my biggest issues of the season is how they've treated Huey. Because I do think it's very frustrating, and it's like, what ultimately was the point of all of it? Like, what was it about Huey that made the writers be like, yes, we're going to torment him throughout this entire season? I feel like you could have. I don't know. It's definitely a tough situation. And again, like we talked about, I think last week, it's like there's never been a show like this before, so we don't know where the point of no return is. Like, we don't know where to necessarily stop and how to react when shows do this, because it's like it's never happened before. So it's we're kind of exploring that for the first time here, and what personally we're okay with and stuff like that. I do hope Huey, and I feel like he probably won't because it's going to be a hellscape, I assume, next season, but I do hope he has a better overall season next year. I hope and I assume the writers have probably seen the reactions online to Huey. I bet they're aware of what people are saying about the season. And hopefully we can pivot, because I personally have still really loved the season. I think it's been a really good season of TV, but I do think there are some places we could kind of tighten up a little bit going into the final season.
Absolutely. One of them, I think Kimiko was left too hanging with her familial side. That didn't get answered enough, in my opinion. or at all, considering that reaction.
She is single-handedly, like, she didn't do anything this season. Not really. She is our team's force field. That's what she was this season, which is cool in moderation. But it's like every episode, she's getting her neck snapped in half, or she's falling off a building, or her arms getting chopped off, or her legs getting chopped off. It's like every episode. And I think you actually called this out pretty early on, and I think you nailed that, where it's like, but at a certain point, you don't feel those consequences anymore. It's like, oh, it's Kamiko, whatever, just do whatever, right? And especially
like literally, she got her neck snapped, and I was like, oh, she'll be right in 2 minutes. What are we doing? Where else are we? You know, like with the shapeshifter in the bunker. Yeah, I was just like, okay, so that's that 2 minutes now. Okay, where else are we going to be? You know.
I agree. Yeah, and like. Okay, so there's been a lot of conversation about Huey this season, and his I guess love story this season that I think has been kind of interesting. Obviously, him and Kamiko reconnect this episode and they kiss, which I actually personally didn't have a problem with them kissing. I do ship those two characters. I thought it was a very sweet moment. I actually really love the moment when like she's showing the phone to Annie and she's like, oh look, and there's that really cute moment with those two characters. But it definitely does make you look back at the season with Frenchie and Kamiko and be like, what was the point after all? What was the journey with all of this? I do feel like we waste a little bit of time on that. Like it feels like it's just been kind of one long circle.
Yeah, okay, because I did feel kind of dumb when it happened, because like I was sitting there cheering it on, and like, this is so cute, this is amazing, but I was also under the impression that they'd been together this whole time and just doing stuff in private, you know. Apparently not. Okay, you know, it doesn't change how close they are, you know. And what it led up to. It just made it feel more earned, really. I also understand why it took so long, obviously, because of their both of their traumas. And again, I was saying this on Eric's stream, but yes, she's on the team, but before she was a part of it, she was a hostage, you know. So he might have felt that there was some kind of like power imbalance that they kind of needed to work through initially, so that she didn't feel like it was a kind of a Stockholm situation, or that she felt like she needed to do that in any way, that it was just truly her and her alone, you know. So wonderful. And then when she was calling out for him, how did you feel?
That was heartbreaking. I thought that was a fantastic scene of just like her first time in the show actively speaking. And I think I sometimes forget that like she can technically speak. And I guess that was revealed this season, right? Where it's like she can speak, but since the day of killing her sister, I think she won't speak. That's a line she won't cross or whatever. And that was a very emotional moment. But I don't know. I did have it wasn't an issue with the show. I think it's just like the community on Twitter surrounding that kiss kind of bugged me a little bit, because there was a bit, I don't know if you saw the meme that was going around where it's like, and this is just kind of like a personal thing, but like when Kate whispering in his ear is like, oh, like you're gay again or whatever, and it's like her being like, no, and that's the meme or whatever, and I'm like, I get the joke, right? It's a whatever joke. But also I think there's a really, in just media in general, I think there's a really bad bad representation of what bisexuality is, and that it even exists. Like this idea that like, oh, he kissed Kamiko at the end, that's a nice moment, well, he's now suddenly not gay. And it's just like, well, no, that's not how that works. Like, him being with a girl automatically doesn't get rid of his sexuality. It's still there. He's just being with a woman, and that's an okay thing. I think that's a bad kind of stand. I think just Hollywood sometimes doesn't understand that. And I don't think this is the show's fault at all. This is just the media, and it's hard to write bisexuality in movies and TV. It's just it's usually like one or the other. It's hard to, especially in movies, it's hard to write that. So that's just kind of something.
No, I know, but object permanence is something you learn as a toddler, you know?
Yeah.
So you'd think they would have it when it came to sexuality, you know? Like, it still exists, guy. It's still there. You learnt this at 3, you know, or you're even younger, potentially. So...
Yeah, it's just a weird thing where it's like, oh, if you're dating a woman, you're straight, and if you're not, you're gay. And it's just like, well, no, it's still there. You know, it's not just like it's that trope of like it's one or the other, but no, it's not. It's a spectrum or whatever. But no, I do think Frenching and Kimiko were 2 of my, not because I dislike them, but I do think they were 2 of my least favorite characters this season.
That's
just
right.
because it kind of felt like they were just very, I don't know, just kind of there, unfortunately. But maybe they'll get more next season.
Yeah, I am so happy that A-Train goddamn survived this season. I have been so nervous because he's been just ramping it up with the heroics, and every 5 minutes it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing something great. And then he had that moment with the kid in the ambulance, and I was just like, God damn, you know what you're doing, guy. And then, everybody just kept saying to me, like, dude, he's gone. Be prepared to say goodbye. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And here we are. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. We got him for at least a few more episodes. If they do like a whole shock value kill on episode 1, season 5 with A-Train, I'm going to be so angry.
Yeah.
Do not do that. Do not do that. Keep him around, okay? Because he's very much needed on the show. He's awesome. Yeah. Absolutely great.
You were definitely right on this one. We said last week, like, I was pro, I think he's dead. You were like, no, he's not. And not only did he not die, he didn't even appear in the episode. So I think you get bonus points for that. He was, he wasn't there.
Totally off in Belize or somewhere else. Like, he's in another country.
It's really funny. They literally brought in every stoop, like every major stoop that's been in the show, except for him. They brought like the like tongue penis guy, but they didn't have A-Train. And actually, you were very much right about the soup from season 2 that you called last week. You were like, yeah, Cindy. You're like, maybe she'll come back. I was like, I don't know. And yeah, you're right. You were spot on.
Dude, they need to be more like just pinpoint what her goddamn power set is, okay? Because in season 2 you had her pop in everybody like Newman did, right? And you thought, okay, that's what her power is. She's like Marie, right? But then now she's out here like Magneto spinning metal. Like, so is she just like a powerful telekinetic? What the hell is happening? What is she? What is she?
Is she like a Jean Grey kind of?
Okay, maybe. Because then she would be the next person to watch, other than after Homelander, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
If she could just pop a whole group of people. I have to say, this episode for me had some bad writing.
Okay.
And that was with Mallory. Okay? Because this woman is sitting there saying, I love you. She took him in after he lasered his mother, right? And left his father all bloodied up wearing a cape. And, you know, like, that kid's been through some trauma. She got him at his worst, right? So she knows how to get through to him, okay? And then to pull the shit that she did in that meeting when
she played...
was handling it.
Yeah.
He was playing Connect 4 and he was handling it, you know?
Yeah.
And then she just barged in like a bull in a china shop, just ruining everything and getting killed in the process.
She was kind of dumb in this sequence, but I'm wondering if maybe that was slightly the point. Like, I'm wondering, it's just like she was kind of at her wit's end. Like, she was so fearful for everything going down. Like I think like with the assassinations, she in her head is like it has to happen now. We have to just do it now. And maybe she was a little bit too faithful in Ryan's goodness. Like she thought, like I can handle this kid. He's not going to kill me. He's not going to attack me. We need to get this done. And you know what? Part of her was right. Part of her, I understand that side of it being like, we just have to get him to safety. We have to get him out of here. We have to do this. But and I agree with you, she handled it in probably the worst possible way. If we just let Butcher handle this, just give him a couple extra minutes.
Like she literally led with "You're an R baby."
Yeah.
You know?
That was,
like,
it was too much too fast. Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Honestly. You know? Like there's a reason you're keeping secrets, you know? Because that's some dark shit. Yeah? And you're good at keeping secrets. You keep them over there. Keep your mouth shut. That's what your whole thing is. Keeping secrets. CIA. You keep secrets. Yeah. Keep it over there. He didn't need to know that.
I think you just needed one of those things. Like you didn't need all 3 or 4. Like she's like, it's the plane and the R and the assassination. I think you could have just done the assassination. Like let Butcher be like, hey, it's Homelander. Like I think it's so easy to like do it. Be like, hey, Homelander assigned this assassination. Have you seen him have any other signs of violence or whatever? And that seems like, well, he almost tried to hurt me earlier inside the day. And he's like, and then frame it, but like, do you think that's okay? Are you safe? I feel like if you just kind of let him play his cards, like it's going to be Ryan being the one like, I want to come with you guys. I'm not safe in this shit, because he was so close. Like he ran away to get away from Homelander, and you could see like he's so close to wanting to come back. And he had his stuff last week of going on live TV and being like, nah, screw this sucks or whatever. Like and
that's the thing. It's like she should have been like Master Indara, you know. In like, I give Torben the tools and give him the questions to seek his own answers or whatever. I teach him to seek the answers himself, not give him the answers to make him feel better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a prime opportunity because Ryan has been seeing behind the scenes at Vought. Like that whole institution has like shattered in front of his eyes because he's seen like behind the curtain, you know. Same with his father when he went like all crazy. And then if they just held his faith of their institution, you know, instead of just shattering the whole poor boy's world in an instant on both sides, you know, just insane. And it makes me wonder, like, is it just going to make him go off the deep end? Like a case of like, well, now I don't feel like I can trust anybody because everybody's trying to, in some way, use me as a weapon. And then the only person that isn't so far is Homelander. He's just like, dude, I just want you around. I just want you here. You know?
It's also maybe potentially a good thing that Ryan didn't go with them, because like he may have been fucked, right? After Homelander took control of the country, he took out all the boys. They probably would have found Ryan at that point. They probably would have took him back, and he would probably be currently in a worse situation than he is right now. So maybe he's at the best, safest place at Vought, unfortunately, with Homelander.
All the world could have been.
Yeah.
Maybe like,
he can now. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Just that, like, if he trained somebody to kill Homelander, you then have somebody who's stronger than Homelander, and what you just got to hope that they do better.
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Yeah. Hope you have a Superman and not a Homelander on your hands. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious where we place Ryan at the end, like going into next season, because I do think he's such a he could be an ace in the hole. Like, again, we could have an insider in VOT knowing all the information. He's probably going to be in the meetings. He's going to probably I don't know. But also, does this situation push him over the edge? Does this situation be like, no, this is the right direction? But because also now, like, he's not going to want to go back to them at all because he's now faced with the guilt of what he's now done. So it's probably going to push him even more on the side of Homelander, which is, again, it's scary. Like you said at the start, we have Soldier Boy, Homelander, and Ryan. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's gonna meet his grandpa.
Yeah. Oh my god. The whole family tree. Like, my goodness. And they are the oldest as well. Like, really. Well, some of the oldest. So, oh my gosh. I'm so excited for season 5. I've heard, like, I haven't read all of the book, the comic, and I know that it gets, like, quite apocalyptic-y. Very apocalyptic towards the end. So I'm expecting a madness and just death after death after death after death in season 5. Which again, like, answers our question from last week of how do we get to the boys Mexico? What does the kind of the ground look like from there, you know?
Yeah, this ending kind of feels like what I was kind of thinking back in season 3, where I was like, oh, it seems like we're heading towards the scorched earth situation, the fully unleashed Homelander. And I feel like he's still not fully at that point, but we're really close. Like, they're taking over the world. They're taking out anybody that would oppose him, which it's scary.
I know. Oh my god. Can we talk about the cleanup? Can we talk about the cleanup at Vought Tower? Oh my goodness.
The wrong Ashley.
Oh my god. And I love that joke. Like, yeah, no shit, Ashley. I'm sorry, Ashley. You know, like the whole Ashley thing. And then she's busy getting like shish kebab by Black Noir. And then they got the whole murder boner joke going on, which was just right. And then you've got the other Ashley dropping some blue V, and there are just speculations on what this poor girl is going to end up with. And I hope with every part of me, the shit that she's had to deal with shoveling everybody else's and constantly in fear for her life, like constantly feeling powerless, I hope to God that plays some kind of a part, right, in what kind of power set she gets, and like she's able to turn a few tables and not be that way anymore.
Sure.
And be real powerful.
Something was happening with her brain that I thought was kind of cool. Like, I don't know. I'm curious because I don't know if they would have another, like, Sage is already the smart one, so I don't know if it has anything to do directly with their brain, but maybe it's like I don't know. It'd be very interesting.
Now that she's superpowered, she could just go straight to the boys and say, look, I've been scared at Vought for years, and I haven't been able to make it to you. But A-Train will tell you.
Maybe she frees them. Wouldn't that be crazy if she freed the boys?
Yeah, like, because I'm expecting a leader situation. Some people have expected like a Medusa type Ashley or a bald She-Hulk Ashley. Like, there's a whole gamut of guesses. I'm like, because of the whole head blood bubbling, I'm also hoping for a leader / Sister Sage like type brain that she will be using for the boys, because that's something that, like, so say for example, like Sister Sage's plan, right? We're sitting there wondering, is it just about the boys? Is it just about Homelander? Is it just for her? We still don't know because it's step 1, right? But she's like, it came together just how I thought it would. There were a few things I couldn't account for, right? So like in that instance, Ashley would be something she couldn't account for, so much so it's not going to just be in those margins. It's going to start messing with the whole plan.
Yeah.
Which is going to just drive everything up. Like, Ashley could be like the the fork in the cog or whatever. You know, like she could just be here messing everything up.
Actually, I think Ashley was honestly one of my favorite characters this season. Like outside of obviously the terribleness with Huey, like that aside, right? I feel like she really got the chance to shine this season, and I think this episode proved how capable she can be and how smart she can be. Like you can tell she's had this plan for a while, being like, okay, I know where his V is, I know where he hides it. If I hear any sign that I'm in trouble, I'll run there, get it in, and get out of there or whatever. Like I think that's very, very smart. And I think it was very smart on the writers and stuff to hold that as one of the mysteries for season 5, knowing we're not going to get another season for another 2 years or so. So I think that's great. I'm excited to see. And then the Sage thing, I do feel very vindicated. That was the moment I was waiting for with Sage, because we talked about that last week. I was like, I'm waiting for the moment for us to show how smart she is. So clearly she was building up to a large thing. And I think we had both mentioned the idea that like maybe she knew this was going to happen. And it's all kind of part of her master plan. And it all, she knew Newman wasn't going to work out. So she made her own way. And everything with A-Train, everything with the boys is all kind of part of her master plan. And it makes it even scarier going into the final season, like Homelander with hundreds of soups at his side, her just casually just doing this for no reason outside of like, it was fun, thanks. Like that's terrifying. Like she didn't even have skin in the game. She just thought it'd be fun. Like that's terrifying.
Because like her whole life she's like, well, what's the point of making anything personal? But like now that she knows she can have like such an effect, I wonder if like that's a part of like the larger plan, you know, like, oh, this can be done, I will make everybody pay for grandma. You know, because like that story for me still has a lot of relevance, and I feel like that's going to come back.
I kind of hope Sage sticks around. I think Sage could be one of the next big bads after Homelander if they wanted her to. If that's in Gen V, if they wanted her make her the main villain of Gen V, or even The Boys Mexico, I could see a world where like they defeat Homelander, but someone else steps up, right? Because someone's going to have to take over for Vought, I assume. Because obviously we have more shows to go off of. So Vought's still going to be around, I assume.
They just move across the border and go to Mexico.
I don't know. There's so much.
You could have her as a big bag that never gets caught. Because she's so smart. She's like Moriarty, Sherlock levels, like smarter, like even smarter than them, where she is like potentially villain incarnate if she wanted to be, you know. So she could just be like, once this is done, she could just be out in the wings, just contacting people constantly, you know, providing like missions and money or whatever. Like she could be at any level, really. That's the great thing about her.
Absolutely. We've talked about the ending quite a bit already, but like, what was your kind of thoughts on like the everyone is captured, Homelander's in charge of everything, we're all kind of doomed, Annie escaping? Like what was your kind of takes on that entire ending sequence?
Okay, I'm not okay. Again, like, you know, we talked about like one of the issues is follow through, right? I don't like so for me so far, if we just look at it at face value, right, Annie's thing is like spark, it's not working. I wonder what's up. You know what, everybody's telling me I'm a bitch. Okay, if I look back on myself, I'm a bitch. Hey, it's working again. You know, it's like, that's your journey, realizing you're a bitch and being okay with it. Because like because you've done some shit in the past, and Firecrackers said you're an asshole, and you go, what? You know what? I was wrong. I was a bitch. I'm sorry. You know.
Sure.
And then right now your powers work. Like, what the hell are we doing here? What?
That
How do your powers now work?
That was one of, I'd say, the more frustrating things about the season is her, because they never explain it when it starts to happen. Like, they're just like, oh, it's not working. It's like, why? Is there, I don't know. Like, and like, it's very clearly to me, the root of it is they couldn't have her use her powers this season. She'd be too powerful, right? She's too powerful of a soup. She would be able to handle most of these situations. Like, they would make the boys too powerful. And, you know, that's, I kind of don't like that. I do think that's a strike on the writers, where I feel like, and you know, like we deal with this kind of stuff on the CW stuff all the time. Barry loses his power, Stripe is taken down because we don't have the budget or whatever. Like we deal with this stuff a lot. But I don't know. I feel like if the writing, and I'm not a writer, so I can't be the one being like, it sucks. But I feel like if your writing is good enough, you could find a way around it. You could find a way to have her powers. And them lose at the same time.
I'm fine with her having an identity crisis and having the whole Tobey Maguire power loss. I'm fine with that.
It doesn't feel earned.
It did not feel earned. Earned. And the payoff of having her just zip off in the sky felt just out of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
It's a really cool moment. Like, I think her fully just turning into like a star, like that's a cool moment. But I agree. I wanted that storyline, and I actually loved Annie of the season. I thought it was one of my favorite seasons with Annie. But I did want the conclusion to her getting her powers back to feel more meaningful. Maybe it could have happened while she was fighting the alternate Annie. Like, maybe that would have felt more satisfying, or even her getting out of the prison. Like, I feel like if it should kick in at any point, it should be then. Like, everything was on the line there, and it didn't. Yeah. So why did
the issue is there was no power source there, so she was already drained. So, like, the time would have been in the prison for sure, right? And again, like, I get that would have been like her whole character moment of like, oh, I know who I am, and I'm enjoying that I'm choking you out. But it honestly more felt personal because, one, she was her captor, and two, because of the stuff with Huey. You know, if they left all of the stuff with Huey out and it was all about the personal attacks in the apartment and that was dealt with, I think that would have hit harder. But instead, it just made it all about, oh no, he's my man, you know, kind of thing. And it's like, great. You know, like, I don't care that you got your powers back, because I don't know why they're back.
Yeah,
you know,
we don't know why they left either. Like, it was just kind of like they don't really dive into it. It's more like we have to read between the lines. We have to read into why you may have lost your powers. And like you said, like, I think there can be a cool arc about like accepting that you're not a good person. Like, I think that can be a fun arc, especially when you are surrounded by so many shitty people. When you're surrounded by people, you're part of a group now that their main mission is to kill and destroy. Like, that is their goal, right? They're wanting to save the world, but they're killing and destroying to do so. So I think her being on the team, I think that can be a really cool arc. It's just not executed correctly, I don't think. It's all done like behind the scenes. It's being like, well, this is what it might be, you know? And if it really is just like head on being like, am I still a good person? I'm not Starlight anymore, so who am I? Like, what's my role on this team? What's my role as a hero? And actually, that still doesn't get, like, resolved. Like, her, like, Starlight thing of being like, is Starlight back? Is he not? And maybe that's stuff we dive into next season, which I assume Starlight might end up being like a... Like,
she was fully saying she was back, right? And then...
That was the other version, right?
No. It was before. It was. Yeah. She took the other one, put the costume on, but like it was Annie that stood on the doorstep and was like, you know, I'm standing up and I'm making a change. And since then, we've seen nothing from her in a public sense. Like, she needs to be on socials. She, like, I don't want to say on a platform because that's just dangerous as hell, especially since they're on the run all the time and everything, right?
Yeah.
But at least like pushing the name, pushing the narrative, but they just keep skulking around in the shadows and just keep expecting the public to do what we're doing, and that's filling in the blanks based on insinuation from what we've seen, you know. And in their reality, they don't really see much when it comes to the boys because, again, it's all done in the goddamn shadows. So it's all just Starlight's name that they're taking it on. Okay, she might be a good guy, you know, like. They don't see any of this because it's just threats. Like, we're still we're going to threaten about Homelanders releasing the footage of Homelander. We're going to threaten Victoria Newman and this, but you don't do any of it. You just keep holding on to it and hiding away, you know, and just killing a random soup every now and then, you know.
Yeah, there's. I don't like completely agree, but I do know one of the big criticisms of season is there was a lot of the plot not moving too much forward. Like, there was definitely a lot of the story kind of staying very like stagnant throughout it. And there's definitely some big moves, especially in terms of like the characters getting pushed forward. But I would definitely agree. Like, this season did feel like we are waiting for the finale. Like, it did kind of feel like some of those were like, we're putting pieces in motion for the finale, and then the finale is going to push us forward to the final season, which I think some of it is important. I think especially when it comes to A-Train, when it comes to Butcher, when it comes to Homelander, some of that stuff is very important this season. Even Ashley, Starlight in some senses, but maybe they could have made some bigger strides this season. And also I don't know how to fix it. I wouldn't know how to have done it necessarily better in terms of like the plot of the season, because again, it just feels like they knew season 5 what the plan is and they needed to kind of get there. So I don't know what you do. Like, I don't know how you make that better, but it's definitely a thing.
It's like, I don't know, because it feels like if you're moving pieces, like, you want it to be more of a season 3 thing. I mean, and then season 4, the pieces are where they were supposed to be. Then we see that play out, and it's paused at a point where the story is like at the precipice of being like before the end, and then that's when we get season 5, right? But they've just waited and thought, all right, we'll just shuffle around in season and get some cheap, funny moments out of it. And that's annoying because a lot of that work can be done in a penultimate episode, season finale, even a third, the one before that, you know.
Sure.
So I don't know. Again, it's difficult because again, Eric quickly loves his 5-season things that you were saying. So
maybe it was the situation where they should have done a 4th and final season, but it's 12 episodes or whatever, something like that. Like, give them a couple more. But yeah, it's tough. And you know, like, we're saying all this, I still think the season was still very good. Like, I think in terms of TV, it's still a good season of like television. Like, it's still a very well made show. Most of this for me is like for me personally is nitpicks. It's little things. I still enjoyed most of these episodes. I think it's a really fun journey. But I think season 5 will kind of nip some of these things in the bud. It feels like this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been building towards for these last several years now. And I'm excited to see kind of where we end it. Also, and I know we're at the 2-hour mark, so we got to kind of wrap things up here soon. But I am very excited to see how Gen V tackles how we ended the season. Because I think this opens up the coolest opportunities for them. I think Gen V is going to become, like, at least in this next season, like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of the boys universe, in terms of like we're seeing the different like perspectives of this universe from a different lens. What's that look like from the college standpoint? Like, I bet they're like, are they like recruiting people for the Homelander army? How are they going to get out? Like, type of things. Like, how is this all going to work for them? Are they at all? I assume they're not going to try and incite at Homelander. Or people are going to try to get them to. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm so curious how they deal with everything.
As well, is Gen V season 2 going to take place directly after the boys season 2? How long did season 4 of the boys 2 take? Because our guys have been locked up, you know. And I really, really, really want a crossover, and like a proper one. I want the Gen V people to break out and be the reason that the boys have broken out, and I want them to meet. And like, I genuinely want them to meet because you have Kate and Sam doing bits for the 7. Mm-hmm. I feel like they have to at least meet some of them and interact with some of them.
I don't want to have too much in Gen V season 2, but I want the Gen V folk in the final season of the boys. Like, I think we're going to have what's her name? Marie. Like, I think Marie will be part of the fight against the 7 or whatever in the final season or whatever. Maybe they're locked up in like the same place. That'd be pretty crazy if they're all in like the same hangar or whatever. Like maybe they get like a little cameo or whatever. Like they're stuck in one of the cells or something as they're escaping. But no, yeah, I think, and I think Kate might be Gen V's Homelander. Like, I think she might end up being like the big bad of that show that they deal with throughout their seasons, because she is so powerful. She is such a threat. I'm excited.
Because her and Sam, because they have to be a team. Because Marie could just pop her at any moment without Sam keeping her busy.
Sure. Yeah, I'm so curious to see how we deal with that. And it's honestly probably not. It seems like they're really focusing on getting that out by next summer. Gen V season 5, or sorry, Gen V season 2. Yeah, it's they're working on it. Obviously, rest in peace to the young actor who passed away recently. Andre, I think his name's Andre. He will be missed. Yep, absolutely. Do you have any kind of final thoughts on the season of The Boys? On expectations for next season? I know we were about that a little bit, but
just that, I know we sat and given it a lot of criticism, but again, it is a show that we love. I've done nothing but been enthralled with the whole season. Even the bits that I should have been questioning, I was sat there screaming and shouting with pure enjoyment and shock.
Absolutely.
The stuff that Homeland has done this season is insane, like pure malevolent Homelander, just off his rocker. Ryan's been a delight this season. Honestly, if I'm being honest,
he's been one of my highlights. Yeah.
Hated season 2 Ryan. That kid, as try as he might, okay, he came into a beloved show and he had I feel bad because I was hating on a kid, right? But he was difficult to watch, right? He was he was a little bit annoying, and I feel bad saying it, right? But he was just a little bit annoying. But he was great this season. He was great.
Was that
he was really,
was that good. Back when he was a different actor?
He was a different actor.
Yeah, it used to be a different actor than it is now.
No shit.
Yeah, that's something that people recently pointed out. I think he was recast in season 3?
What?
Hold on, let me pull up a picture. I'm pretty sure, unless that's fake news. Maybe I just made up stuff here, but I'm pretty sure.
I just think he's been given more to work with, because his whole thing in season 2 was just moaning all of the time.
Yeah.
And they stopped that now. It's not moaning, it's him questioning the establishment.
Yeah.
And he's doing great.
Oh, here we are. Really yeah. Cool. Did you see the photo that I just pulled up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely 2 different kids. Yeah. I don't know if that's season. I'm pretty sure that's season 2, Ryan. So, maybe season 1.
Oh wow. Yeah, probably season 1. Maybe.
That has to be season 1 because Becca's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Fascinating.
Absolutely.
But he's been really, really good. Again, I'm not pooping on his performance. He did great. He did great in season 2, but like his whole thing was just moaning a lot. You know, like it's hard to make that winnable. You know, but now that he's been actually given stuff to work with, he's smashing it. Like season 7 with the puppets, that whole triumphant moment with my mother would hate this. I can't abide this. You know, like was amazing. It was amazing. And Butcher's face, like, oh my god, it felt like a full Disney moment on the boys.
Yeah.
You know, like goddamn job.
It's so hard to write kids in these type of shows, and like and you know, I will say prior to this season, and yeah, I guess this season he technically is still a plot device, right? It is still Butcher needing to get him back, but also he does feel like his own character. Like he has his own motivations, his own journey that he's going on outside of just Butcher's I need to get him back or whatever. Actually, hold on. I know we're running over. I do just need to really quick. I do want to talk about the Butcher and Newman stuff because I do think that's a huge part of the episode really quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we completely skipped over that stuff.
Wow.
Just full on Venom Butcher killing Newman. And him fully taking the drug, it seems like, which, again, that's going to have huge consequences for not even the show, but also, I assume, Genvi. What was your thoughts on the whole Butcher stuff, the Butcher and Newman storyline?
Well, once again, we called it that the virus is going to be what kills the thing, but keeps Butcher alive. But for how long is going to be the question, you know? What damage does he do before he is subdued is the other question, you know. I gotta be honest, I'm not really happy they killed Newman. I was surprised. I was like, oh my god, you know, typical boys moment. Where it's like a battle royale out here, like everybody's fair game. But I liked her as a character. I understand that all we got from her this season was like kind of being the puppet for Homelander and realizing, oh, like I am not as powerful as I thought I was. You know, like I'm not respected or feared. I'm not like a frenemy, which I thought I was. I'm just being told what to do. I'm now a subordinate. Yeah. I am now scared because I thought I was respected. I'm not, you know? And then she just, like, her whole thing is protecting Zoe. Couldn't believe that she turned her into a soup. That was crazy. And again, like, it would be difficult. I understand that, like, they might not make it a civil war next year. They might just have all of the soups on the bad side, and then the boys struggling to find camaraderie with other people. Because if you make it too powerful on their side, then you just have them going, all right, well, why don't we meet up warrior style and just stop all of this, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm personally, like, I saw a lot of people being mad that they killed her off. I kind of do think it was kind of the ideal time. Like, as much as I love her character, like, I think she's really great. I do think ahead of the final season, this is just one of those big things that needed to happen. And I also needed a couple deaths in this episode. Like, I threw my hat in the ring for a couple characters, but I did think a couple needed to go. Like, we needed at least one big death, and that was Newman and Grace. Which Grace, I was very I think it's Grace, right? Yeah, Grace. I was
Mallory.
Yeah.
I like because that was so out of character. She's supposed to be the measured one, and keeps telling Butcher, "Sort yourself out, keep yourself in check," and then she just starts dropping bombs, and it's just like, dude, chill out. This is a child.
Yeah.
Who? By right is right. He's just walked into an open prison that you're waiting to lock, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
You want to use him. Yeah.
But yeah, so you're right. There did need to be a big death. And again, next season, Battle Royale, everyone's fair game. So just expect like a lot of people dropping like flies. And I'm going to be ready for none of them. None of them, because I've grown so attached to everybody, including the villains. And it's not like, oh, I think the villains are good guys. You're allowed to like villains. You're allowed to like the bad guys. And they do their villains very, very well. The Deep is a giant POS, but I like watching him. I cannot help it. Like, there is the actor, Chase Crawford is his name, is
he's good.
Outstanding. He is outstanding. The bravado 1 minute and the insane vulnerability the next. You know, that man has levels. He is deep. It is crazy. It's nuts. I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
He's great. I'm so certain he's gonna die in such a pathetic way next season. Like, it feels like everything is just building to him getting. I hope it, but no, I want it to. And again, we love the character because he's this little silly bastard or whatever. But like, I know he's gonna get like impaled by a swordfish or something really silly.
Oh my god! Yeah, not even a real one, a plastic one at a restaurant. Oh my god.
Honestly, I hope the like octopus's family comes through and is like, "Fuck you, man," and they all just like team up on him and kill him or something.
Oh my god! Do you know what would be great? Do you know what would be amazing? Like, it's one, he can't be the only person that talks to fish, right? And two, like, he said some dark shit about fish recently, right? One, you're right. If somebody finds out about Ambrosia's death, somebody might want some answers. Two, if he's like, his whole thing was, oh yeah, a sugarfish is my ride or die, right? One of my ride or dies is a sugarfish. He then went to Homelander and was like, I'll kill every fish in the goddamn ocean if you ask me to. You know, like, if that message get passed on, and then it was like a case of like Steppenwolf at the end of Justice League, where all of his minions just then started swarming him, and then the ocean became unsafe for the Deep. That would be tremendous.
It's a Scar getting eaten by like the hyenas moment. It's like, what'd you say about us? That we're scroungy potentness? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I heard something different, buddy, and they all eat them or whatever. Oh my gosh. I'm excited for
here's the question.
Sorry, go ahead.
For who?
Evil Butcher is all I said. Just like full on evil Venom Butcher. That's all I was saying.
I'm scared how that's gonna turn out. Like, how many bodies that man's gonna take. I'm worried.
Yeah. He
but
has to kill
my question
a couple characters.
Good and bad.
I think he has to at least kill one member of the Seven while under the Venom.
Goodbye Frenchie or goodbye MM?
I don't know.
Because those are the only two that are going. You know it.
Yeah. Do you think... Is there any chance he kills Ryan? Do you think there's any chance that he kills Ryan while he's under this?
Oh, that's a good question.
By accident or on purpose? Like he could just accidentally kill him.
I think the chance is going to be there, and that's what's going to snap him out of it, and he's probably going to stab himself with the virus to keep Ryan alive.
Sure.
You know, like, his whole thing about keeping that promise, I think is going to be more important than the whole big G that the symbiote's going for, you know?
Yeah.
But my question for you, right, is before we even see a trailer, before we get any kind of hint of what season 5 is going to be from Gen V, who do you think, if anybody, is going to survive the boys?
I think Huey and Annie do need to survive. Not necessarily for any spin-off purposes, but I feel like those are the two that feel like they need to go on and live a normal life. I'm now kind of the opposite with Frenchie, where this season kind of feels like his arc was like having to learn to want to move on. So it feels like he might survive. I think Kamiko dies next season. I think Kamiko, as heartbreaking as that death is going to be, I think Frenchie's new arc is now going to be, how do I live without her, right? She taught me how to want to live, and how do I live with that without her?
Do you not think that could happen, but it's backwards? Because she's unkillable at the moment, apart from the virus, that he passes and she has to feel that way.
Sure. I'm the only reason I'm kind of anti on that is because I feel like that goes against his arc this season, right? Of just like, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. Or I mean, maybe the arc is him finally wanting to live and then he dies, like him finally wanting to. I don't know. I could see that too.
As long as it has purpose, I can take it, but I'll be upset either way.
Butcher and Homelander are definitely dead by the end of season 5. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, that's everything's been leading. I think Butcher kills Homelander, and in the process, he dies. That just makes sense to me. Mother's Milk, I'm 50-50 on. I could see that going either way. He could have that happy ending with his mom. With his wife and kid. Or he could sacrifice himself. I think in the comics. Yeah. 7-Wise, I think Deep dies. I think A-Train dies. I think.
I'm not really ready for that one.
I think.
I love Train. I've always loved
Firecracker dies. I think Firecracker dies early next season. Like, I'm thinking like episode 1 or 2. I don't think she's making it.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. I'm really interested to see what finish her off, and I wonder if it's going to be the medication.
I think it's medication. I think it might just be like she fucked herself, you know?
That was crazy. She's like, I just need to sit down. Dude, you look like you're ready to keel over. That was crazy.
Yeah. I think Sage lives. I think Ashley lives. I think Ashley might live. I think it'd be really funny if she outgrows all of the 7. You know what I mean?
That would.
I think that. I would kind of love.
Yeah, go on. I was just thinking. Go on.
Sorry. I think it'd be kind of cool if they made Ashley a full-on villain. Like, if they gave her these powers, and then she's like, they've been stepping on me all these years, now I have the V, I'm going to take charge. Like, imagine you throw her over on, like, The Boys Mexico, make her one of the main villains or something. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I could think that, yeah. My question is, if they do kill a Firecracker early, what do you think they will do about VNN, like the news network? Because at the moment, they had Ashley running bits, they had Firecracker running bits. With now that Cameron's gone, you know, I'm really curious, like how they're gonna keep that narrative going, because that is funny and it's getting them views and it's keeping people engaged.
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, maybe there won't be news to be reported. Maybe it's too much chaos. Maybe it's too much death going on. Maybe people won't be leaving their houses. I don't know. I was actually shocked she made it out of the season because she was one of the people I thought was going to die last week. It just kind of felt that way, but nope. She's still there, strong.
She's wily.
Well, not strong. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. All supes have like a low level super strength, don't they, compared to humans anyway? So she will be some level of strong, which is good. Mm-hmm. And you're right. She's taking so much guff that she's going to be coming out here. She ain't going to be taking nobody's. Oh my God. And what Cameron said to her when he broke up, it was one thing when you're in charge around here, but I need my doms to be dominating. Dude, if she got a hold of you right now, if you were alive and she had you right now, wouldn't be saying that no more, would you?
Yeah. It's great.
So yeah, Ashley's pulling bits.
I'm excited for Ashley next season. Very excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that's where we're ultimately gonna have to end our conversation for now. But I enjoy talking. This is the universe, so we can just go on for hours and just go on all our theories and speculations. And I'm excited for when Gen V comes along because that was season 1 was so much fun, and this season was so much fun. And finale week is over. I do just want to quickly say I don't I don't know what the next month or so for the show is looking like, just in terms of like this is the end of the current weekly amount of shows. I know September we're starting some weekly stuff back, but I think for the next month I am going to, again, I'm not sure what all you're watching or not, but there's a lot of like binge stuff coming up, and here's the issue with binge stuff that we've come across with doing this show. Like we've done Fallout, we did Avatar. It is very hard to do binge shows on here because then it forces us to be like, oh, we have to watch this by a certain point, and I don't think that's fair to anyone being like, oh, you have to watch this by this point. So this is going for the next month or so. It will be very up in the air what we're doing. Next week I do think I'm going to be covering Cobra Kai, and you said you're not a fan of Cobra Kai, right? You're not a Cobra Kai fan? No,
I'm not a fan of Cobra Kai, if I'm honest. No.
Absolutely. No. So I'll probably have a guest pop in here, and now just gonna be a thing where I'm communicating with you, seeing like what you're watching, what you're interested in for the next month or so, and then September comes along, we'll have like Agatha and a couple things popping in. So
I'm excited for that. Have you seen the trailer? Woo!
I have. I'm excited.
Woo!
And Penguins in September as well. So we got some fun stuff along the curve.
That looks good too. That does look good. That does look good.
So yeah, is there anything that you want to shout out or promo?
Just that video I was working hard on. It's up. Go and have a look. And I've just done some more recording today, so I'm going to be having a look at all the footage and editing some more. Fingers crossed, CapCut's working for me, because I've had nothing but troubles. But go and watch the other video, please, and thank you.
Absolutely. And yeah, pipeline this week. I'll be talking about some of our favorite superhero shows with my good friend the Red Arrow, as we're slowly making our way to episode 100 in a couple of weeks, so that should also be very, very exciting. Yeah, without further ado, you guys, we will see you on the flip side. Bye bye.